Well, let's take Serial and see what it has to say. Serial, how you doing?
Hey, you got me. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
We're doing great.
Can you hear me?
I don't know if you're following. Yeah, we can hear you, and I don't know how closely you've been following, but we're having quite the array of spicy calls today. So I
I've been
want
having a kick.
to.
Really, I'm having the best time.
All right. Well, I want you to continue having a good time, and I really want you to make this one count. Okay, we're gonna give you some time to make make a good argument. You're gonna make a good argument right now. You are going to tell us what it is you believe and why, and in the fashion in which you'll be responding to the chat poll. So go right ahead.
Sure. Well, first of all, I answered the chat poll, yes, and I'll call the show. Woo! And so I'm a Unitarian Universalist, right?
Yeah.
No jokes? Okay.
That's so funny because the last time Ben and I were on, somebody called and suggested we go to a Unitarian Universalist church. And so now it's happening again. Not making me believe any more than I did before I got on the show, but quite the coincidence.
Word. Sorry about that.
No, it's all
unfortunate.
Good.
No, but we're excited to hear what you have to say.
So what I think. Pretty simple. What I think is unique about my religion, specifically the democratic aspect of it. I've been to almost every religion, as an atheist. I was raised in an atheist family. To sort of social network and find out what it's all about. I term it as a sort of rational mysticism, trying to rationalize these vast metaphors about life and the universe and everything. They're very old. But what I think about the uniquity of the Unitarian Universalist Church is that it's got all the founding fathers, like a lot of them in it. It is centralized around a singular purpose, which is not God. It's actually just seeking truth and wisdom. And it's the only church that I've ever been to that you don't get kicked out for not believing something. You just get kicked out for following the process. Like if you cause a disruption and you don't want to do the democratic thing, then they just say, they don't even throw you out. They just say, well, nobody's going to pay attention to your vote now because you've just said you don't believe in the covenant, which is like pretty much just democracy, respecting people, equality, things like that. Things I think every human being on the planet would probably agree with if they were just told the right things.
So I'm a little curious about
with you.
Yeah, I mean that sounds great. Maybe I'll let Jimmy get in because I think I think my thing I want to address is maybe a little bit off topic. So I'll probably let Jimmy jump in here if he wants to respond to what you just said, and then I can chime in a second.
We'll play association.
Well, I appreciate that. So I'm kind of, I have the same argument for the Unitarian Universalist Church as I've always had. Now, do I think it's great that people from different walks of life can get together and talk? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. But what does it tell us about the different ideologies that are coming together? Well, first of all, if you can have atheists and Christians and Muslims and everybody and everybody, right? Those are just examples, kind of coming together in this kind of brotherhood, conversational type environment. Well, I don't really think that we're dealing with a religion, are we? I mean, the chat poll states, well, my religion is unique. And here's why, but I don't really see that as being unique in the sense of believing in a God or practicing a religion. Yeah, of course, it's unique in the sense that, people who disagree with each other from a philosophical or worldview standpoint, although I do hate that term worldview, but that's kind of a term that resonates with a lot of people. So the way that they see things through the lens of their religion, while they may disagree, they can come together and they can be civil to each other. That's great. That is a great effort. I think that is a very good type of environment to propagate, but I don't think it brings us any closer to identifying why a religion would be more unique or more special than the other. In fact, I would say that it kind of suppresses that idea in a way, because it brings these people together and almost makes them look equally unimportant, right? The thing that everybody's working toward, the common good there, is not religion at all. In fact, they probably have in common that they're not able to achieve a common good by using their religion. So they have to kind of go around that and just say, let's put our religion aside and all try and get along. And so I think that actually helps the argument that, maybe religions are not unique. Maybe religions are not special, and we probably have more in common than we think. So that's my initial thought on that. Before you go ahead, Serial, I want Ben to chime back in and give his thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to address, and Jimmy kind of touched on this a little bit. Well, I was just curious about in what you told the call screener. It says, I'm an atheist religious person. And so I wanted to ask because I get that you're in the Unitarian Universalist Church. So I established that you don't believe in a deity, but do you have beliefs in other supernatural things?
Well, we're gonna conflate atheism with agnosticism. I know we're gonna argue about, is agnosticism just another atheism? Of course it is, but I think it's more specific than that. I don't think
that's fine, but more so, I think answers
to any of those questions, we might as well give up on the search for that. But
I guess
we already conflated religion with theism.
Well, and that's why I'm trying to ask, and that's why I'm trying to because we know that there are a lot of Buddhists. Well, there are a lot of Buddhists that don't identify as theists, right? But they're still religious. So, that's, I guess, I'm trying to get clarity on what your specific stance is as far as these things go. And I do agree we could go into
it's a sort of rational mysticism where I'm trying to interpret the vast metaphors that we've come up with, which of course now science has a much better answer for, but it's just another language. And what I think is unique about the church that I don't know if we went over is the language that it's organized by. And that's all any of these bodies of organization are. They're political constituents, right? Whether we access power through means of normal avenues such as government, man is still the political animal. And the thing that makes Homo sapiens unique is that it's able to speak, create language in ways that the rest of the animals, and definitely not plants, will ever figure out. And I think the point of the church, which is, again, I've prayed with Muslims, Jews, I've been to synagogues, I've been to LDS, I've practiced with Zen Buddha. I tried them all for the same search. And that's, in my church, that's what they encourage you to do from a very young age. I think religion specifically, instead of theism, and people are probably engaging in the process of delineating these things because it's been thousands of years. But it's not the moral aspect of it; it's the ethic. And again, the people conflate those a lot: morality with ethics. Ethics is the actual praxis of the political access to the power of good, and I think the lack of that is just bad. And we can just term everything outside of the circle of accessing the power of good as just bad. It's innately bad, therefore, whereas the concept of good is based on a lack of bad, or it's based on the presence of good. It's out from zero, the original digitry being, probably Fibonacci. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician.
So Ben, is this answering your question at this point?
Not really. Not really. Can you, I guess, I'm trying to see, it's cool that we're discussing that, but I'm trying to see if there are any places where we disagree so we can go into more depth on
cannabis, that. So, I mean, I'm doing well too.
Yeah. So I guess I
don't know. I guess
there's
I don't
a lot.
What your question.
There's a lot of flowery language.
I think that's what. I answered your poll though. That's what's unique about my church. I've been to literally.
Yeah, but it's not a religion. I'm looking for for example. Okay, we have in the intro I gave.
It's a set of practices, rites, rituals, the service. I pray with people. but I don't believe in God.
But it incorporates multiple
I think I'm
religions. It is almost a government. I mean, I would say that, your primary characterization of the Universalist Church or the Unitarian Universalist Church was that it's a democracy, and that, everybody has an equal say. Well, that is not necessarily characteristic of a religion, at least from my experience. In fact, in a democracy where you can question and challenge laws and ideas, you can't really do that in a religion, at least not any that I'm familiar of, and walk away, with a sense of safety or contribution. You're more likely to be ostracized or even worse. And so I don't see that the foundation of what you're talking about, the place and the set of practices, translating directly to what we're looking for in the chat poll. So when I started with my cold open today, I said, hey, we're all familiar with the story of the human being born to a human mother that was impregnated forcibly by the God of the heavens, right? The intent there was to get people to say, oh, well, he must be talking about Jesus, when in fact, those stories exist in multiple different cultures, multiple different religions. The Greeks have 4 of their own, in which their patriarch travels to the underworld. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. As a matter of fact, in 4 or 5 times they come back. In one of those stories, there's 2 of them that travel, 1 doesn't come back. But we see the same thing in Norse mythology, like I just mentioned, with Odin, who dies by hanging, being strapped to a tree and is pierced in the side. We got into that caller or that idea with a previous caller. And so the whole premise here of the conversation that we're trying to have is there really isn't an example of a religion that is so unique that we can't point to other areas of where these ideas came from. Okay. With the universal or Unitarian Universalist Church, we can look at Islam, Christianity, Judaism, all talking together and avoiding religion in the end, as far as I'm concerned, and rather having this democratic process take place instead of a religion. Go ahead. You're not muted. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Well, at one point, but maybe I'll go with this. I'll change my little rhetoric here. I'll go with, it's the only church that's Unitarian and Universalist. The only one. So there's just one of them. But I mean,
I don't know if that's true.
I think it is
well, you think it is, but
what Unitarianism and Universalism are?
I'm not really familiar with the church. All I can say is that I don't know for sure that is the only organization that operates the way that you're saying. I'm just saying that the church itself is different from.
No, and I'm not saying that.
See, I kind of agree with that.
Right? Well, I'm not saying they're all Democrats.
Well, but yeah, it sounds more like it's a community. Like, it's great that you all have a community, but it's not built on the same beliefs about the origins of the universe and all that. Like the things that we usually associate with religious beliefs, right? Like, even if something doesn't have a theistic, even if a religion isn't theistic, they still share kind of similar supernatural-esque ideas. And it seems like the universal, I cannot speak today. The UU Church is not built on commonalities in those beliefs. Its body has people of all different beliefs that have basically all agreed to say, hey, we're going to get along and we're going to be a community. So like I say that this is a community, but it's still not a religion in itself. It's those, like, let me pull up an actual, a definition of religion, because maybe if we define that more clearly, we can be on a similar page.
The way that I understand, so most definitions of religion center on a god as a central figure. I know that that's not all encompassing. I mean, there are loopholes to that, but for the most part, everything that I've seen, usually a religion is centered on some kind of deity or multiple deities that kind of dictate how things are supposed to go. And so I haven't found one that stands on its own. Okay. I see them all borrow from each other. And I see them, kind of just not really all that significant. And to your point, Ben, I think that we are kind of looking at a community and not necessarily a dogma or a set of rules and beliefs. I don't know if you have anything more to expand on that Serial,
but it doesn't contain supernatural language. That's why I like it. That's all I really wanted to.
Well, that
was my answer to the poll.
You like it, and I think you should do it. I think you should continue it if it helps you and it helps others and you like it. Then by all means. But you have it really
people there that are interested in humanism. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there are. I just, I think I would have loved to get somebody who. I think I would have loved to get somebody who would want to call and defend their faith. But as usual, we have gone through a show.
We're created. I don't think I'm doing the language thing. I think
I have not gotten a priest. I have not gotten an imam, a pastor to call in and say, hey, this is why my religion is the correct one and the other ones are false, or this is why mine is different. We haven't gotten that yet. And that's what we were hoping for. And so I'm going to say this week, atheists won, the clergy 0. So, they have their chance to call in some other time. But, Serial, I think I really appreciate your call. Ben, did you have any last thoughts for Serial before we get rolling?
No, I think we agree on more than we disagree, probably.
Yeah,
just ends up, this discussion ends up just getting really pedantic, and I'm not a huge fan of getting into this word and whatever, but I appreciate the call and I appreciate having the discussion.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Serial.
We're going to let you go. Definitely as bad as proselytizing, I think, but here I am.
All right, well, yeah. All right, well, thank you for the call. We're going to let you go.